Hey there. Welcome back to Live Bold and Boss Up. It's your girls, Steph and Ash. We really appreciate you listening in. Love our listeners. This week we chat with Christina Weaver. She's been in the entrepreneur space for the last 18 years, perfecting her craft in retail, event, and hospitality space. Really, her focus has been on just making the world a little bit better. And we love that. And right now, she is the co founder of the Women's Creative. And within that space is Procure, which is a beautiful shop. And hopefully, you'll listen on YouTube or check it out on YouTube because we're literally in her shop in Hyde Park. She has a shop here in Hyde Park, Tampa, and then in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautiful.
We
It
give you a little
smells, oh my
tour.
gosh, we give you a tour. It's so gorgeous. And all the products there are from other women, other small businesses. It's really a beautiful thing. She tells us all about it. So I won't go into detail, let her explain, but it is just really, it was a really refreshing conversation.
It was. All right. Well, we are in the Procure boutique. Is that what you call it? It is beautiful in here.
Gorgeous.
If you can see behind us, it's just a gorgeous shop, and we'll give you a little tour.
Yeah, we might
after.
just get down right now and start shopping. I don't know.
Oh, I already asked her.
I'm okay with that. I would join you. There's always new things in here, and I'm like so curious,
Yeah,
like
do you not
to look
spend all your
around.
money?
Right.
I mean, yeah, I do.
How do you procure all these items? How do you pick out
Mm.
all the ones that you want in the shop?
Yeah. Well, that's what's incredible, I think, is that there are so many. I mean, when I say so many, like literally thousands of women who are producing incredible products, who are designers and makers, and who are just kind of like thinking, just kind of just solving problems essentially by creating product. And so we have a lot to choose from. And then we select them usually by category and then by the size and whether or not the business owner is interested in actually growing and being exposed to a larger audience, if they can keep up with the inventory that we need. There's lots of different considerations, but
Let's back up a minute.
Because I know, I'm sorry. We were talking about the shop. I got all excited.
Procure is a retail solution for small product-based businesses who are trying to get into the market and grow their business. If you are one of those businesses, you know this well. If you've been around them, you know it well. When you have an idea to create a product, you have to make it, create a brand, do all the marketing for it, all the content curation, and then you've got to hit the streets, whether that's markets or going to retail stores. You do everything, you wear every hat. It can be very, very difficult. Most women go into it completely bootstrapping it, like really with a credit card and a dream. And they get stuck or they get tired or they feel like they're spinning their wheels. And so we created Procure as a solution to support with that. At Procure, those women come to our door, they drop it off their products, we give them a hug, we cheer them on, we send them out the door, we take care of everything else. So it really is that like sales solution and hopefully supportive kind of cheerleader community for them to help them keep going and growing while they're trying to figure out, how do I get funding, or how do I get into major retailers, or what is growing my e-commerce store look like? And hopefully in the process, we're selling enough product that we're infusing cash into their business to help that business organically grow.
This is amazing. I love the idea. And you are helping small businesses all over. Like not, and you're a small business yourself, and you're helping women and women-owned businesses and startups help grow. Like what a rewarding like concept.
It's been really, really fun. It also is squeezing ourselves into an industry, retail is hard. So it's like, we came into it so hot, being so excited, like we are going to rethink retail. We're going to put the humanity back into it. We're going to build a team that we feel really confident in, who is, we're going to try to avoid having like a toxic environment. We want a really, really great like working environment, want a beautiful space. We want to do events and all these things, wear all these hats. And it was a lot. we were really excited. We're going to solve all the world's problems with these little stores. And they are there's two of them. There's one in St. Louis and one in Tampa, and they are precious, wonderful places, but we're really, really figuring it out. So, yeah, we have really honed in on the fact that, like, especially right now with the economy a little bit softer, cash is important and people need money. So we really are focusing on sales. How do we move more product out of the store for these businesses? And a little less on what we originally thought was going to be like the incubator piece of our business, where we're doing workshops and teaching, women who are growing their business how to go to the next level. So that's been an interesting pivot. But
So you do that too? You help them like with
yeah,
understanding how to run a business as well?
we do. Yes, it's really interesting because we sell for a lot of businesses that don't sell in other stores. So sometimes we end up being like their marketing director, their product development consultant. Sometimes we're just their general business coach. People come to us asking, where do I find an accountant, or am I approaching this correctly from like a tax point of view? I mean, we get all kinds of questions. So we do always connect women with resources. And then when we can, we get them together, and we do what women do best when we're together. We talk and we resource and we network and we crowdsource our knowledge. And so, yeah, we do that as much as we possibly can. But like I said, it's been a learning curve for us to figure out just how to sell the volume that our brand partners need. So we call everyone we sell in the store, we call them a brand partner.
Okay.
I like that. Now, you obviously didn't just start off with Procure and this idea. That's been 18 years of business creation in the making, right?
Yes.
What made you start this journey?
Oh man, I don't know. Overconfidence.
I don't know. I love that. I love it.
The sense that I could for some reason. I don't know. I really don't. I think I am someone who likes to solve problems. I was that kid who had to switch schools in middle school because I was failing out of one that was too easy for me. So I love a challenge. I love approaching something that I've never done before and just figuring it out. And that has been in part like kind of what originally got me going. I think also I have an entrepreneurial family. I come from generations of people, my family, men who have started businesses. And so I think when I approached them originally with my first idea, which was also a retail store, it was actually a nonprofit retail store. So all of my current businesses are for profits, and that is like a whole other conversation. But the first one was a nonprofit, and we sold only for small co-ops in developing countries that supported women who were basically providing for their families.
Right.
And so some things were like fair trade certified, other things weren't. Some things were actually groups of women that I had gone to Uganda or Mexico to actually meet and get to know. So that was really interesting. And that it was technically a fair trade store. We said everything in there was ethically made. And it lasted for about 12 or 13 years. And it was a huge learning curve. Countless mistakes, and it, almost closed several times, and we limped it along and learned through that one. So I've always kind of used retail to help people, which I think retail is the ultimate connector. I think it is one of the coolest things that exists for ever since the beginning of time. Humanity has bought things. We've bought things from each other.
Right.
And we don't think about the fact that like that's a community thing. That's a connection. You're connected to people. Every time you hold a product, I mean, whether it's your iPhone or the honey you bought from the beekeeper in your neighborhood, like those things, like people were involved, and you're connected to the people who created and came up with that. And so I love the fact that when you run retail like this, that's a little bit alternative and where we're telling stories, you can be more connected with that community, and it just feels good. Like in a world where like we're so techie, to hold things that have texture and have the sensory experience of a really great retail store, and also know that the experience in that store helps other people. I don't know, that for me is like ultimate.
Yeah. I mean, you're resonating with me right now because I love shopping. Me and my mom could shop all day long. And like, it's just it's almost like a meditative thing, right?
Shopping is self-care.
It
It
is, it's
Yeah.
therapy, it's everything. So I totally get what you're saying.
I know. I think for so long I was like, oh, retail therapy, like people laugh at women, like they do that instead of actually doing what they need to do to care for themselves. Like that's kind of what I always thought of the concept of retail therapy.
Right.
Until I like really stopped to think and I was like, no, like the sensory experience that you get when you shop is calming. Like
Mhm.
you're putting your phone down, you're not task oriented.
Right.
And sometimes we are for shopping for our kids and there's a checklist and all
Yeah, yeah. That's different. That's not retail therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not what we're talking about. But if you really take your time, it can be interactive with the people that you're with. It's just shared experience with both the product and the person who's making it and whoever you're with, and hopefully in Procure with whoever you're shopping from.
Mhm.
So that level of service and care and community is something as a team, we've worked really, really hard. We're not, always improving. But to really train up hopefully a team of people who make sure everybody who walks in our door feels seen, known, heard, and loved. And those are the kind of that's our goal. And so ideally the retail experience is one that it uplifts you and it makes you feel a little bit better when you leave.
Yeah. You mentioned there were lots of lessons to be learned along the way, lots of mistakes to be made. What would you say has been like your biggest lesson learned? And what would you tell other women that are trying to create a business? Like, what advice do you give them?
Yeah, I really felt like when I first started my business, if I'm excited about it and it's something I like, it'll great. And I think the one mantra that I find myself saying every day is give the people what they want. Do and buy and create business that where there is room in the market and where your customers are responding. And if you don't do that, it's so much harder. We're in the middle of a huge pivot because we started paying a really, really great ad agency, media buying agency at the beginning of the summer. And we started doing A/B testing on our language and our content. And we started just with our general business brand, like for women, by women, buy from women, that kind of thing. After hundreds of thousands of people saw it, no one resonated. We weren't selling anything.
Interesting.
No one really resonated with that. I think they maybe liked it, but it as a core forward message, it's not what people wanted. And so they came to us and they were like, we know that this is your main focus of your brand. And
However, it's not
this is
freaking working.
it's not working. Yes. You will have to work so hard and spend so much money to be able to really get this off the ground, that you maybe should consider pivoting.
Interesting.
And that's probably one example of thousands. And in a retail store, it's real obvious if a product sits for a while, nobody's buying it.
Yeah.
You got to let it go. And so that's been a really interesting, lesson learned and probably the biggest one for me.
Oh, that's a great one.
Go back to when you said you have to be within the market and what's kind of open and room to grow. Like, how do you even, can you break that down a little bit? Because what does that even mean? How do you even know that there's room in the market for that, right? Like, how do you know that people want it? How do you?
I don't think you do without testing it. I think you come up with an idea that will always, I think whatever you're presenting, whatever your business is, whether it's a tech company or a human resources service business or a retail store, you probably, when you created that concept, it was to solve a problem, right? It's to fill a need. And hopefully there's also a really strong why and purpose behind and underneath it, that's really building and developing that brand. But you really can't know whether or not that's ever going to work without testing it. And hopefully you're testing it under the guidance of people who have experience in the industry and can be like, you know what, this won't work, but if you edit just a little, this will. And the goal is to invest in the test and then try not to invest too much more to get to the actual solution. So our pivot isn't a huge one. And it comes out of the advice of people who I hope and it seems like are really experienced and I feel comfortable with where they're guiding us. And then we're just pivoting as quickly as possible, because if you do pivot fast, it's cheaper. Take your time to decide what you're going to do, and then when you get to that pivot, go.
Fail fast.
Fail fast, but also change fast.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to, one of the biggest things is, originally having run a nonprofit, what are like the two things that I've heard over the years that like make nonprofits fail? And it's, when founders have founder syndrome, they just cannot let anything go. And it's when nonprofits aren't run like businesses. And so I think those are lessons that I carried out of that first, kind of experience where I was like, I'm not going to be married to anything. There's nothing that we do that I wouldn't stop doing.
Right. That's a great mindset and great advice for anything.
And if I need to shut the whole thing down, we're gonna shut the whole thing down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no big deal. Like, I can come up with endless business concepts. It's
right.
fine. Figure something else out.
I like that. I do like that mindset too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to just, hey, if it fails, just let it go. There's something better. That means that there's something better.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or it wasn't the right time. I think that was, at one point, I don't know. So I started that first business and had that for about 15 years. And then, I don't know, the story is like long and winding, but started a series of vendor markets for women-owned businesses, which has evolved into a public events and activations based service, where we go into large developments and we'll do vendor markets, or we'll do really cool creative events around themes like wellness or dance, engaging local arts and artisans and small businesses, but also driving traffic and supporting that development. And while we were in the middle of that, I was still running the retail business and started my second retail store, which was a little more like Procure. There's just 3 brands in one space.
You limited it to only 3 brands.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was amazing, because when marketing and like how to grow organically on social media is a whole other conversation. But, you can kind of grow your marketing. You have to use social media. You have to use email lists. I think we all say that email is more valuable than social media, but social media is what at the end of the day sucks up our time the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you have to use social media to grow your email list and kind of invest in both, whatever. Long story short, the whole concept behind putting and this kind of project where you're putting multiple brands housed in one space is for collaborative communal social media growth. That's really at the end of the day, the goal. And if all these businesses are doing a decent job on their social, it's pushing people to their websites, which hopefully is pushing people to their email list, which will get them to the next step of that e-commerce buy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because hopefully they're tagging Procure, they're tagging whatever.
We were tagging them.
Right.
And so, when I put those 3 stores, I just had a hunch at that point, right? It was kind of a test. Never done something like that before. We put 3 brands in one store. It was great. It was also 8 months before COVID, so it didn't last very long.
Right.
But
that's all right.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really cool to be able to test that. And then the Procure concept, which is about 60 different brands in one place, is like the next version of that.
Mm-hmm. So you have 2 locations now. You started in St. Louis, and then this is your second one?
Yes. Yeah. So I grew up in Tampa, and life has taken us all over the country. I've lived in DC and Denver, but we kind of landed in St. Louis and have been there for a while. And that's where I've been growing business. And so we had an opportunity to go into a new development there. We're kind of an anchor store in that development, which is really cool. And we have 2,000 square feet, and we sell for, like I said, about 65 different businesses there. Yeah. And they're local, and we've got some really great Tampa brands that actually are selling great up there, which has been really fun.
Cool.
That's been cool.
And in Tampa, you're in the Hyde Park area, which is beautiful. Great location.
Yeah.
And how long have you been here in Hyde Park?
Yeah. So we opened in April. We came to Hyde Park in part because, we kind of just pitched it to the developer, the ownership, and they liked the concept. And then they had this second floor space that, people have come in and out of a million times, up above Paper Source, up the stairs. And we were so confident. We were like, you know what? We've done retail forever. Like, I think combined, my team has worked retail for like 70 years or something crazy. So we were like, we can figure this out. Second floor retail is really, really hard. I would never recommend it. Don't do it. But have been here since April. And we're here for a year. So we're a pop-up at Hyde Park until March, and we're looking for what our next potentially hopefully permanent location might be.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what's next.
Yeah, so we will find a street level retail space. But we've invested so much in building community in Tampa that we're gonna keep it going. We love to use our space as that community space. We have happy hours, and we have some really cool like wreath making classes coming and charcuterie classes, and we do some really cool events. So this space is about 900 square feet. So we're looking for something that's about 16 to 1800. We'll stay in South Tampa. Probably won't be in Hyde Park, but maybe. And we'll go from there.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
What's next? Like going off of Steph's question, didn't you mention something about Water Street and doing something over there? What's that connection?
Yes. So I had mentioned that we have this events and service-based business, and essentially what it does is it's public activations. We do really thoughtful, creative public activations, get people out. Some of them are vendor markets, and sometimes they're just really cool alternative nights out, art experiences, fun like dog events, things like that. So I have a couple friends who are also contractors with Water Street, and one of them pulled me in on a project a little over a year ago when Water Street was just opening. Actually, it was probably exactly a year ago when the tenants were just starting to open and the street was finished. And we did one project with them, and SPP and the team there was really happy with us. And so we've had the opportunity to continue doing work, which has been awesome. And we'll do, I think, at least 5 or 6 more events with them next year.
Nice.
So,
great. That's very exciting.
Yeah, it has been really fun. And the same thing at Hyde Park. So we're starting to do some events here too, help them get some of their public activations kind of restarted. A lot of times, like you kind of have to have events to drive traffic, and it's a great way to grow brands. It's similar to like a Procure concept. Events bring lots of different brands together, and so both digitally and in person, it's a great way to grow community. And so I love them.
I love that. So I have to know from your perspective, right? Over these 18 years of being an entrepreneur and trying things and failing and changing quick and being, successful at all of these things that you've been doing, what is success to you? What does that mean? Because success can mean multiple things to multiple people. And what does that mean to you?
I think it's changed it's changed over time, and I think there are seasons where it changes. For me, success is impact. It always has been. I've always built and done businesses that have a positive impact on the community. So gauging impact, if I'm and I guess going back to give the people what they want, making sure that the people I'm trying to help are actually responding like, oh, this is really helpful. And building, business, kind of making edits to make sure that it's helpful. And then I think, success for me is also like financial success.
Right.
And it's taken, honestly, a lot of years to be able to like confidently say that out loud. I think for so long I was like, the money will come, we'll figure it out. And now it's like, no, it actually doesn't come unless you work really hard and like make really hard decisions and, cut your budget and, be really thoughtful. And so, yeah, I would say at this moment, it's a balance of both. I'm maybe having to focus a little bit more on the financial, like fiduciary piece. I think also where you define success is where you put your energy and your time and your resources. And I've had to, even though it like sometimes makes me feel cringy, I've had to define success as fiduciary success,
right?
So that I make the decisions that need to get made.
Right.
I mean, in the end, we still have to live and we still have to provide for our families. And yes, you do it because you're passionate about it and it's fun, but like ultimately you have to make money.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not
it's
at
okay.
all.
Yeah.
No, this has been so fun, and I appreciate you letting us come in your store. I want to show our listeners like a little.
Well, and I can kind of tell you a little bit. So in the Procure shop in Hyde Park, this is, I mean, and this is our pivot. So we are a gift store. And gifts are really a big kind of what we're hoping that people walk in here and say, "Ooh, you know what? I'm going to gift to myself and I'm going to remember this place as a place to come back again and again for great, unique gifts." And when you gift from here, you're also supporting the women who made and produced the product. So we have everything from accessories to really unique self-care items. We have some beautiful things for littles, some great home goods. We try really hard to vet everything in the store so that it is hopefully eco-friendly, definitely safe, hypoallergenic, often allergy friendly and thoughtful.
Right.
A lot of our fabrics are organic or recycled. So we try to have a lot of
I like
intention
that.
behind our sourcing.
Yeah, it looks like your candles are too, like all
Yes.
and lotions and stuff, all good ingredients.
Yes,
And I love
everything's all
that.
natural,
Yes.
and yeah, it's been a journey finding it all, but yeah.
There's a purse right next to Stephanie's head that I'm like, I've been eyeing. I'm like trying not to look at it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna look at it after this though.
And so this is the fun thing, like everything has a cool story. So these bags that are kind of over our head are all they are all recycled, upcycled rattan. A lot of them are handmade, and they're designed by a woman that we work with.
And is there like a rigorous application process that they have to go through in order to get their products in your shop?
So there is an application process. How rigorous it is kind of depends. And this really is about building a relationship. So yes, there's a long application. If people don't completely fill it out, sometimes it turns into conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to get the link and all the information
absolutely.
for some of you, starting off your business or small business owners that want to expand so that you guys can connect and
Yeah. And people
join.
can find out all about Procure at shopprocure.com. We have 2 social media feeds. The Tampa one is Shop Procure TPA. Follow us, come and see us. You'll find all of our events, how to apply if you're a business owner. We do a lot of really interesting networking events for business owners too, with different groups in the community. So lots of great opportunity at Procure Shop.
Christina, thank you. This has been so great. For our listeners that are listening online or are watching this, we'll give you a little preview if you're listening and not watching. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate us as always.
And until next time, guys, live bold and boss up.
All right. And if you're watching, stay on.
Now the fun part begins with the shop. Quick little preview. Procure. Over there, where's that purse you're talking about? The one hanging there?
Oh, it was like right above your head over there. Look at that. How cute is it?
Well, it matches the visor.
Oh my gosh, it has a matching visor.
Yeah, I need a travel bicycle.
Of course. And there's some artwork down here.
Yes, artwork. I was checking out the artwork.
Yes. Love it.
Maybe I'll see.
Bye.